Okay, hi everyone. Happy to be here to talk to you today about containerized deployment of OpenStack and what it is, how you can get your hands on it and start playing with it, both to get familiar with OpenStack and also with containers. My name is Charles Eckel. I work at Cisco in the DevNet team. I'm an open source developer evangelist in that team. What I really work on is areas where Cisco is contributing heavily to open source and using it in our products in ways that would be interesting to you and to the development community at large. So let me just, brief agenda here. The idea is to tell you just a little bit about OpenStack. I assume you already know a bit about it, so I won't spend too much time on that. This containerized deployment that we've put together, what it is and why we're doing it, how you can install and operate it on your own laptop, and then give you a pointer to some resources for afterwards. So first of all, what is OpenStack? Again, not going to spend a lot of time on this. The idea is a collection of software, right, that lets you stand up and run public and private clouds. And it really takes everything that you would typically have, say, in a data center, all the compute, storage, networking, right, and abstracts that behind a common set of APIs that you can use. Not only that, but provides you a portal through which you can interact with it as an administrator or as an end user. And then again, those APIs are available. You can write applications and services on top of it. So very modular software, which is great. There's a set of core services, which are listed out here, which provide your compute, your networking, and your storage. But then there's many other services that you can use or not use depending on your needs, right? And then those APIs that I mentioned before, sitting on top, and you can use those APIs to write applications and services that ride on top of OpenStack. And then there's the infrastructure plugins that tie everything to the underlying virtual or physical hardware. And I like to liken that to like the device drivers on your laptop, right? And how it really takes whatever the operating system is and then ties it to your laptop so you can use it. So we saw the core projects, and there's a whole bunch more projects, more than 30 projects within OpenStack. The idea being, again, you just pick and choose the ones that you need and that you want within your deployment. And then with this modularity, we're really seeing OpenStack being used for a wide variety of use cases, right? Because you can tailor it to meet what your needs are, your size of your deployment, a small deployment, really large deployment. I think we've seen some sessions here this week talking about even larger deployments. So it really fits a huge variety of use cases. And so that really drives me to the adoption, the drivers that are driving adoption of OpenStack. The APIs are really, really critical. I think that's probably the most important thing, the speed and flexibility that provides. But then, of course, there's that modularity, the cost savings, right, with being able to repurpose resources rather than having them dedicated, specific resources for one specific application. The programmatic workflows, the fact that you can now essentially automate or programmatically do what used to take days, weeks, or months, right? That really saves a lot. And then the key thing, really it being open and broadly interoperable in this conference, the OpenStack Summit. That's a good example of why it is so open and what we're doing to make it more broadly interoperable. But we have to also accept there are some real challenges. And security and the security model is one thing that's being worked on here at the conference. But another really big thing is just the complexity with deploying OpenStack. For those of you who have deployed it, it's somewhat complex to set up your own deployment and then to manage it over time, and just the lack of tooling there. That's another big challenge. And so these things are really the deployment and then the operational tools. That's really what we're trying to tackle with this containerized deployment that I'll talk about for the rest of this session. So let's dig into that. So why containers? We've been hearing a lot about containers for the last several years. The idea that they can really be used to simplify these large, complex systems, writing microservices and taking care of the lifecycle management of everything. They help a lot in that regard. They can also help with OpenStack. with containers, you get flexibility, you get modularity, that's all good. Speed of deployment, you can spin these things up and down very, very quickly with a small footprint. And you can use them to help simplify your management and troubleshooting. So what we really want to do here is take all those benefits and bring them to OpenStack. And the way that's being done within OpenStack is with the Kolla project. Hopefully you've heard of the Kolla project. If you haven't yet, you will now. The idea being there, or the goal of that, is to bring production-ready containers and tools, provide those so you can operate your OpenStack cloud. And the tool chain that's used is Docker. Essentially what we do is we build a Docker container for each OpenStack component, each of those 30 plus components, and then populate those in a Docker registry. And then what you can do is you can use Ansible playbooks, which will pull from that registry to deploy your OpenStack cloud, and you can use it to manage it over time, to validate that the deployment's running correctly, and then to manage it, grow it up and down, upgrade things, that type of thing. So just to put that description to a picture, maybe make it a little bit easier to see, the idea is, again, you have the the OpenStack binaries. We run that through Kolla, build out all these Docker containers, and build up this registry. And then using Ansible, you can deploy those to your target. So that's the idea. And now how you can get your hands on it and start playing with it. What we've done is we've put together this learning lab. This learning lab is available through my team at Cisco through our learning labs. I'll show you the more detailed link to it later on. But the idea is that we provide you with a Linux VM. You run that within VirtualBox, and when you bring it up, it's basically running an OpenStack deployment that's deployed using Kolla. And then you can just play around with OpenStack if that's what you want to do, but you can also get in and see and modify and use all the scripts that Kolla has and redeploy or whatever you want to do your OpenStack cloud as you like. And so the idea, the way it works then is we use VirtualBox. So if you don't already have VirtualBox, you'll have to download that and install it. It's also really important you have to download and install the extension pack. We need that for some of the networking things that we do. Then you go into VirtualBox and you configure the networks, and the Learning Lab runs through, shows you exactly how to do that. I can't really do a demo here, or I'll show you, but I'll give you a pointer and you can do it yourself afterwards. You need to download an OVA file that we provide. It's really large. It will take a long time. So make sure you're on a good network. I also have it on a USB stick if you want to get it from me afterwards. You import that into VirtualBox, then you associate the networks that you created with it, boot it up, and you're up and running. This is the URL. If you want to take a picture of that, or again, I'll be around afterwards, and takes you through step by step how you can do all of this. So the demo I'm going to skip, but come see me afterwards and I can show you a little bit about it and how to get your hands onto it. Let me talk about additional resources that we have. So I mentioned I'm the open source developer evangelist within DevNet. We've put together this open source dev center. You can go here to find out everything that Cisco's doing with open source and how it manifests itself in our products. Events that we put on, like these open source hackathons, you can find out more about that. We have a whole microsite that's dedicated to OpenStack, everything we're doing with OpenStack, and you might find it interesting to look at the set of projects that we have going on. This is where you can get access to all the plugins to say different products that Cisco has, so you can integrate them into your OpenStack deployment. We also have a community forum where you can ask questions, learn by sharing with other people what your thoughts are and see what they have to say. And then this learning lab that I was mentioning, and this just gives you an idea of what it looks like. Again, to install it and do it all will probably take about 45 minutes. That assumes you already have the OVA set up. And then on the right-hand side, just showing you what it would look like. And again, I'm sorry, I'd like to go through a demo, but I'm just not able to do that with this setup. But I'll be around to do that afterwards if you'd like to see that. And with that, I thank you a lot. I'll be over here on the side if you have any questions or want to get your hands on the Learning Lab. Thanks a lot for your time.